Hey guys, Joey Shanks here once again, and welcome to our last installment of our 35mm Filmmaker's Guide series with working with the Combos 1M. Now we finally got in our Russian cord to power the power drive, so we can use a 6-volt battery, and it gives us the option to create much steadier footage. So we're going to go over the process of how the power drive works, what the cord does, interesting ways to hook up the battery to make this camera handheld with still having the battery on you. And to wrap everything up, we're going to shoot on 3 different formats. And I think it's going to be very interesting seeing all 3 formats compared and contrast. So let's go through the process of learning the power drive and getting ready for that shoot on Christmas morning. Okay, so as you can see, we have our cord here. It's an interesting cord where it actually has 3 plug-in points. We'll get into that later. First off, what you want to do is to remove the film magazine, because it's best to test out your power drive without the film magazine in the camera. So we'll remove that for now. If you want to know a little bit about how to put the power drive on, that's covered in part 1. It's an interesting little design with these Russian cords. They come with this little screw here. You plug it in, you tighten this guy back. So you can see one's female, one's male. Tighten it in. And the second element is going to go right here. So also came with a green cord for grounding for this element right here. Just make sure you have it going away from the camera, because if you had it the other way, it would be blocking where the film magazine is supposed to go in. And then we have this guy right here. It came with red and blue wires, and the blue is neutral or negative, and the red is the hot wire. Ideally, I mean, you could even just take your 6-volt battery and just wire it onto the connection here. Well, let me show you what I used. This is kind of like a wall outlet for audio. So I took these guys off so they were like that. I didn't have red tape, so I just used yellow tape to say that that was the red. Just unloosen these guys a little bit, and then tighten them back up. So I had these guys here, like that. I then had these guys, these are like wire protectors. These kind of fit snugly on here. Positive, negative. Took a couple of small zip ties, just tied them right here just so they won't come off. These guys here, so if you can see when I put it in here, they fit nicely in here. And what I would simply do is take our battery here, making sure I'm in the off position up here, and when I hold down the trigger, okay, so we're going to briefly go over the power drive controls. Now this is your stop-start pin. If you were set to the O position here, you could push it in and that would activate the motor. Now switch 2 is this area right here, and switch 2 gives you 3 different options. So O, or the off position. The center one here, this is a 3 actually, it looks like an M. And this position is good when you're going to be filming at frame rates higher than 16 frames a second. And it also helps conserve battery as well. Now the bottom one is upside down R, that stands for rheostat, which is your motor drive here. And it's constant, so whenever you have it on here, you're going to have the ability to adjust and fine-tune it. To increase the frame rate, if you wanted it to go just a little bit higher, you would turn this knob counterclockwise. And to decrease, you turn it clockwise. Now I put some yellow tape right here, just so I have a nice reference to know where the dial is, where it's reading it at, and it reads it from right here. Turn counterclockwise to increase the speed. And these numbers are hard to read, so it may not be a bad thing to put a little bit of yellow tape where the 0 is. So what I've been doing lately, I set it to 0, I'm going to flip it onto the R. So it's barely on, it's barely turning. Turn it counterclockwise. And I'll flip it off. I noticed that I was right at 16 frames a second, and for now that's my ideal frame rate. So now, whenever I'm ready to film and I see something I want to shoot, hit that switch and I'm ready to go. And let's say I want to get as fast as I can. So I'm going to flip this to 3 and push this in. That's going to give me the highest frame rate possible. Always the preferred setting when you're trying to shoot over 16 frames a second using your 3 or M setting. And also, if your battery is getting low, it conserves battery a little bit better. So with the rheostat, it's constant, so you're always going to have the ability to adjust. Now you'll also see that there is a dial down here. Your frame rate might be jumping up and down and not at a constant speed. This will help smooth out the jitter of the frame rate. Now personally, I don't really use this much, so I'm just going to keep it out of the way and just worry about controlling it through my rheostat. Really just get the setting that you like and kind of go with it. Now the batteries do die really quickly, so maybe me playing around with this 3 function could be a good idea. Okay, so after a while, these batteries are going to drain and die out on you. I would definitely have 1 or 2 extra batteries if you plan on shooting a lot. Now, we don't want a LiPo. Stop, and this gives us the option to, we're going to toggle through, and we're going to look for a PB battery, which is what our battery is. So once we find that, we hit enter. Defaulted to 2 amps, and since ours is a 1200 milliamp or 12 amp battery, we'll divide 1200 by 1000 and that'll make it 1.2. To make a change, we hit enter and set this to 1.2. Hit enter, and it's asking us for the volts, and it's a 6-volt battery, so we'll bring it up to 6 volts. Hit enter. Then we'll get the same cords that we are powering our camera with, and we will then hold down the start button and it starts to charge. I've only done this once and it took about 40 minutes, so we're waiting for this number to get to around 1100. Always be mindful that you don't want to leave charged batteries like this lying around, especially LiPo batteries, unattended to. This has a nice function where it powers up the battery and then it tells this thing to cut off. It's a nice safety function. And to wrap everything up here, I shot on 3 different film formats. And also, the Convos 35mm camera that I have, it's not a super 35 and it doesn't create widescreen images. So that's something I didn't consider, and looking back at the footage, I'm not sure if there's that great a difference between the 16mm and the 35mm, especially since the lens I was using was a DIY lens that I made because the lens that was sent to me wasn't working properly. As you can see through the footage, it's a little fuzzy, the focal plane is off. I was kind of disappointed in the results, so it's really tough to judge how much better the 35mm camera would have looked if I had a proper lens on there. And to tell you the truth, I really liked the hang crank footage with the 35mm camera. It was not as shaky as I anticipated. The lens, the focus was pretty good. I think if you're okay with a little bit of an inconsistent frame rate, it's way easier to shoot with that hang crank as opposed to dealing with the battery and lugging around with the power drive and whatnot. But regardless, it was still really interesting to see the 3 different formats. And if you'd like to check out the entire unedited film rolls, I'm going to provide a link for you guys so you can actually see these 4K, 5K scans done by Film Discrete. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed all of the Filmmaker's Guide series, and I hope you really enjoyed that little segment of Christmas morning and seeing all the 3 different formats. My goal is that a lot of these videos will make it possible for you guys to go out and shoot some stuff, or at least give you the option that it's a possibility. Special thanks to Justin Lovell and his company Frame Discrete for providing the film scans for this episode. They have a special laser scan system where they can do 5K scans for Super 8, 16mm, and 35mm. So please check out their website, framediscrete.com. Justin Lovell, thanks again, man. Really appreciate it. If anyone out there has a 65mm film camera, send it over and send some film over, and I will make one of those as well. But I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one, but you never know. So we will see you guys next time, and thanks so much for checking all of these episodes out. Take care, bye.